Hi, everyone. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Good afternoon, everyone. See, a few more people are still joining, so we'll wait just about one more minute before we get started. Okay, it is 12:01. It looks like it has slowed down just a little bit with people joining, so we will go ahead and get started. My name is Sarah Untersey. I am the School Family and Community Engagement Consultant here at Region 10. Jim Wright is here with us from Partners Resource Network as well, and the two of us are very happy to be hosting our December family webinar. I cannot believe that it is already December, but here we are. So we have Amy Reeves with us today. She is the transition consultant here at Region 10, and she is going to be giving us an overview of the Texas Transition and Employment Guide. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her. As we go through today's webinar, I will be dropping some links into the chat so that you are able to follow along if you would like to. In addition, today's webinar is being recorded. It will be posted to the Region 10 website. It does take about 7 to 10 days for that to happen. So I will go ahead and turn it over to you, Amy.
Thank you. So welcome and thank you so much for attending today. I hope that you find the information useful and beneficial as we go through this guide today. My name is Amy Reeves and I'm the transition consultant for Region 10. And today we're going to cover transition planning and what it might look like for you and your student. Keep in mind that the Texas Transition and Employment Guide was designed for students, and so it should be family friendly. This guide is broken up into 9 sections, each covering very important topics related to transition. The first chapter is what is transition planning? What are my rights? Careers, college, community, financial, health, next steps, and assistance. Transition planning is required to begin at age 14 in the state of Texas. It is possible that a campus or special education teacher might begin this process earlier than 14. This plan is designed to help you figure out what steps and goals you need to have in place to be successful after high school. The goal is for you, the student, to live life to the fullest. Employment, independent living, and community involvement is attainable, even those with significant disabilities. Your school district should help you reach those goals by teaching you skills and connecting you with agencies and resources to help you meet your post-secondary goals. When transition planning is occurring, it is important that you are involved, both the parents and the student. Students should begin attending their ARD meeting at age 14, but it is encouraged for students to begin even in the elementary school. This was explained to me as having a birthday party without inviting the birthday boy or girl. In elementary, they don't need to stay for the entire ARD meeting, but maybe just have them introduce themselves and the other members at first, then begin giving them bigger pieces of the ARD responsibility. Age-appropriate transition assessments will be conducted for all students who are transition aged. As a student and parent, you are an integral part of this process. Be involved by responding to requests and voicing your plans and concerns for the future. Post-secondary goals are meant to help the ARD committee target skills needed for you and your student to be successful after high school. I often hear that 14 is too young to know what they want to do, or they don't know what they want to do, and that's okay. Goals can change every year. I took 11 years and 4 or 5 changes to my degree before I finally graduated with my bachelor's. We all change our minds, and you and your student will too. This information can be found under the transition services within the individual education plan, or IEP, that you discuss at the ARD meeting. Annual IEP goals should align with the data collected from the transition assessments. These goals could focus on soft skills like being on time, turning in work, problem solving, social interactions, decision-making, behavioral skills, or self-advocacy. You will also see the transition plan, what we call coordinated sets of activities. Coordinated sets of activities, or transition services, are things that you can do as a family or that the school can work on to better prepare you or your student to meet their post-secondary goals. Some examples of this are researching colleges, registering to vote, getting a state ID or driver's license, and learning to complete chores around the house. Self-determination is important for students to start practicing at a very young age. In its simplest form, we are talking about decision-making. Give your student an opportunity to make choices now that have little to no consequences. Let them pick out their clothes for school or choose from a fast food menu. You can build to more complex choices like you can do your homework now or in an hour, but it must be done by. And finally, once your son or daughter turns 18, they become their own legal guardian. There are lots of options to support your child that you should look into prior to their 18th birthday. Many people feel that guardianship is the only option, but understand that there are other options available that allow your son or daughter to retain their rights. The Texas Transition and Employment Guide also offers information about supported decision-making agreements, and I encourage you to consider all of your options. In this guide, you will find personal stories for students about the different phases of transition planning. Anytime you see a microphone, this is an area that you can practice skills for self-determination and becoming a bigger participant in your ARD meeting. At the bottom of page 8, it has a spotlight on supports. This particular page says, meet your TED. Every school district and charter is required to designate someone to be their transition employment designee. This person is designated as the primary contact for transition and employment services for students with disabilities in special education programs. This employee must be able to provide information and resources about effective transition planning and employment services to school staff, students, parents, and agency providers. At the end of each chapter, you will find a section about questions to ask your ARD committee. Again, this is just a way to prepare you or your student to be more involved in the ARD process. The next section of the Transition and Employment Guide on pages 39 through 41 are laid out in an easy to follow model. It allows you to check off if you have completed something, if it's in process, or if it's not needed. All steps require you to reach out to another organization. Some simply help your student build skills for independence. This section of the guide is broken down into birth to age 5, elementary ages 6 through 10, middle school ages 11 through 14, high school ages 14 through 18, after you graduate, which is ages 18 to 22. Don't get overwhelmed with this list. Pick out 2 or 3 things that you want to tackle, and then just keep adding on to it. If you're a parent of a child in elementary school who has an intellectual disability or that will need moderate to significant supports, I encourage you to enroll your child on the Medicaid waiver list as soon as possible. These waivers can have a waiting list of 12 to 15 years. If you have a middle or high school student and have not signed up for this list, please do so as soon as possible. These waivers can help support your student in employment, independent living, community integration, therapies, etc., and more, right? If your student is 14 and over, they can also receive supports from Texas Workforce. These supports can be for training, for employment, STEM camps over the summer, vocational evaluations, autism support services, and many others, often at no cost to the family. At the end of the guide, you will find many resources to support you. I'm going to point out a few that I have found to be helpful. The first one is Partners Resource Network. They offer parent trainings and supports like the one you're at today. And the Job Accommodations Network, we call it JAN for short, is on page 48. And it's a searchable database for suggested accommodations based on that student's, that individual's disability. The last one is Navigate Life Texas on page 53. It offers extensive information. However, I have used it specifically to find out more about those Medicaid waiver programs that I mentioned previously. There is a new website that was published just this last August, and it's the Texas Fed Support website. On this website, you're going to be able to find the Texas Transition and Employment Guide and the next steps to independence, skills, and strategies. And I do want to take just a minute to show you those resources. Sarah, let me know if these don't pop up. I may not have shared my screen correctly for you guys to be able to see this.
It looks bright. I can see it.
Awesome. All right. So the guide that we were just talking about, this is the pathways, the Texas Transition and Employment Guide, and it's all here. And you'll notice that all of the screenshots throughout are what you're seeing here. And so this is where you can go and download that guide. It is available in multiple languages. So if there's something specific that you need that's available there, then you can get it in the language that best supports you. A resource that just came out, actually there are 4 that are brand new, but this one came out. I got the email on Monday about it. So it's transition planning, and it's a brief overview. It's available in English and Spanish about this guide as well, and just kind of gives you a quick overview of what you're going to find in here in the transition planning process. And so this is a really great document that TEA just released this week. The other thing that they released recently are these video series, and they're just a few minutes long each. If you start with Jenny here, it goes over the transition planning process like we kind of talked about today, but it's in a cartoonish form. And so it's a little bit more fun for some of our students. And so your children may enjoy it, but it just talks about what do I need to do to get ready? The same thing with the careers video. It's what do I need to do? What supports do I need to have in place to get a job? And how does the Texas Transition and Employment Guide support me in that? And then finally, if your student is planning to go to college, they have a whole section about a video about that as well. We talked about self-determination earlier, and I know that they've had some webinars over this, but it's really important to continue to offer this information out there. The next steps to skills and strategies, again, is available in English and Spanish. It's a lot like the Texas Transition and Employment Guide because it's broken down by age groups. You have birth to age 3, and then you've got your 3 to 5. So basically your kindergartners, your PP, your ECSEs, and your kindergartners. And so those are all there. Sometimes our students may be 18, but they're functioning at maybe a 3-year-old level. It is okay to look at the 3-year-old. Make sure it's age appropriate. Don't give them like Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse, right? But look for ways that would be age appropriate for them to continue to practice those skills. The one thing I really liked about this document when they created it is that they have the important steps for you. So there's just 2 things. So if the other document overwhelms you, this one's there. but I like that they include the strategies so that you can do this at home and know how we might teach it in school. And so it's a way for you to be able to implement that at home. Okay, so those were just two quick things that I wanted to show you on the Texas Sped Support website, and then the additional things that they added that are really kind of fun for this year. And the next thing I want to make you aware of is we have our Connecting the Dots. It's an opportunity that's available through Region 10, Partners Resource Network, our family and community engagement, and our local school districts have partnered together to host Connecting the Dots across the Region 10 area. We would love for you to come and connect with those resources, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions about this event. Our next event is actually this Saturday in Sherman, and it's going to be from 10 to 2. And we have some really great breakout sessions planned. We have in the morning, we have high school to higher ed. So we're working with those students that are maybe in 504 inclusion, resource, maybe some of our students that may be in a life skills type setting that are planning to go to college. And so we have Carrie Williams there to share about that. And then in the afternoon, we have Tracy Sims with Texoma Community Center that's going to be discussing government programs, specifically those Social Security benefits and how you might sign up for those. And Jim is actually going to be doing a youth workshop, and we're super excited because it's our first time to do this at Connecting the Dots. And he's going to be doing Employment 101 with those students ages 14 to 22-ish. And so that's going to be there on Saturday. So I hope that you'll join us. If you can't make it this Saturday, we have 3 other events coming up in the spring. And with that, I think we'll take questions, but make sure to remember that if you have a question, to keep it general and not specific to your student. You can always schedule a time to speak about your student specifically with your local school district or charter school, or reach out to SpedTex or Partners Resource Network for supports there. But we have to maintain confidentiality, especially since it's being recorded. So, but thank you for your time, and I hope that the information presented was helpful to you and your students.
Thank you, Amy. We're watching the chat, so if you do have a question, feel free to put that in there. I am going to share the links to both SpedTex and Partners Resource Network, as well as a flyer for our January webinar, which is going to be held on January 17th, again at 12 o'clock for English, 1 o'clock for Spanish. And that topic is going to be a family toolkit for positive behavior supports in the home. So that will be a really interesting topic that I know is going to be applicable to a lot of people. Amy, it looks like we do have one question. How do programs like Project Search and Solomon Center tie into transition services?
So each school district is required, school district or charter, whoever receives those federal funds through IDEA are required to provide transition services to students who meet specific criteria under graduation and whatnot. And Solomon Center is a program through Plano ISD. So that's a very specific school district program. But those programs, those 18 plus programs, they can be implemented in any number of different ways. Sometimes they're implemented on a high school campus. Sometimes they're implemented in on a school district property. And other times they're implemented in the community. And basically what they're going to be doing in those types of programming is they're going to be working on your student's IEP. They're not going to be working on TEKS, so they're not going to be doing English, math, science, and social studies unless it's functional. They're going to really be working toward making the last day of high school look like the first day of the rest of their life for that student. And so they're really working toward employment, working towards skills for independent living, and school skills for post-secondary education, whether that's on-the-job training or going on to college to practice some things there. If it's a student that maybe has more significant healthcare needs, it might be looking at how can they be as independent as possible in the home. Maybe they're communicating based on communicating their wants and needs and teaching them how to do that, or communicating Yes, I like that nurse. No, I don't. I want to fire that nurse, you know. So how can we help include them in that process? And so that's what 18 plus programming is. It's just how are we working to make that last day look like the first day of the rest of their life, and them meeting and actually living their goals and their dreams. And so what I will say is that it's really important, when we talked about the transition planning and responding to those requests when they're building that plan, it's really important. Right now, we got our indicator 14 results back for the state of Texas back in June. And what we found of the respondents, only 31% of students who graduated in 2022 are employed. And so that means that we have another 31% that are at home sitting on the couch. And what we do know is that when they're at home sitting on the couch, their life expectancy drops to 65 years of age. And so it's really important that you're planning with those people at whoever is responsible for 18 plus programming, and especially beginning at age 14 or younger if needed, so that you can really have those skills in place so that your student, your child has the best and fullest life that they can have. And I saw that some other things are coming up here. So as part of the transition goals, can ask the school district to include a goal related to study groups. Jim, do you have any thoughts? I'm not sure what she means by study groups.
I'm guessing it's probably a kind of an executive functioning type of skill to help develop, or a soft skill that relates that we can relate to employment skills. I would really suggest that going through this manual that Amy you just presented, deriving questions and ideas from this manual that I think that TA and you guys have done a great job of really consolidating what expectations are, to use this as a guidepost to have conversations with your local school, because then we have a common document that we can work together with to develop ideas and plans for our students.
There was a little bit of clarification that was just added to the chat, so I don't know if that will help either one of you all to answer that, or if what you already said kind of is still the answer.
And then she said Jim's answer helped with that. So, but yes, I would say that anything that's more of a soft skills, we have to have interpersonal relationships in our jobs. We have to be able to work with other people. I don't think that that's an unreasonable request, but just work together and remember that there has to be data to support anything that the school district is putting into the IEP. They do have to have data to support the need for. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Okay. I don't see any other questions. I am now going to ask Ashton, who is our technology specialist that is here with us today, to launch a quick poll because we would like to get some feedback from our participants today. So please go ahead and complete that. And then thank you again for your time. We will be posting this recording on the Region 10 website. And if you do have additional questions, feel free to reach out to SpedTex or to Partners Resource Network. We are always available to help answer those questions. Thank you.
And just to reiterate, the Connecting the Dots events, we will have one in February in Saxe High School. Is that correct?
Yes.
And one in
Waxahachie in March.
March. Okay.
Frisco in April.
Yeah. And so there'll be very similar sessions that we're going to have in Sherman, maybe different speakers, but they have a lot of the similar vendors, more specific to the area that you're at. And the information is just really wonderful. As a parent, I attend these as a vendor and a parent, so sometimes I go to sessions to help for my own children. So it's great information. I really encourage you guys to get to one of these events to, to help your situation.
I'm
I had a
super
question about
excited.
the event in Frisco. Is that included, Amy, in the link that was on your slide?
The flyer has all 5 events that we have already hosted or will be hosting this school year. And so the breakout sessions for that have not been posted to a flyer just yet. But I'm sure that that's being shared out by this school and family engagement. I believe you've been sharing that out, and I know Jim shares it on his social media accounts there at Partners Resource Network. So those should be coming out as we get closer to the event. So Frisco breakout sessions will be similar. I know that we've got somebody that's going to be talking about guardianship and supported decision making as something that we've talked about. I think we're looking at having somebody come in and talk about like some of our students that have more significant behaviors, like how can you as a parent better support them? So we do have a variety of things, but we try to meet the needs of everyone who's attending. So we may have some things for our students that are more college bound, and then some of our families that might need just different types of supports because of the severity of the disability. So, but we do try to make it a very broad topics that are covered. And Frisco and Saxe are probably going to be our 2 biggest events. And so there will be more offerings as far as breakout sessions at those two locations.
Yeah, I don't know if it's better to attend, any particular place. It's just better to attend you will go, you know. so, so yeah, I think the information going to Saxe or Frisco, that might be maybe a little bit different, but even if you go 2 times, I always learn something new every time I go to hear another speaker or another perspective. And it's just so much information when we're trying to parent our children and trying to make those decisions that, it's as much information as you can get and gives you time to process information and hear it again when you're in a little bit more experienced state, helps to lead to better decisions and better planning for our kids' futures.
And I'll follow up. It's important to start this transition planning early. You don't have to wait until they're 14 to come to connecting the dots or any of the family and parent engagement things that are being hosted. Like Jim said, it gives you a different perspective as you're going through those different phases. And so you might come when your kiddo is in 1st grade and be like, okay, I need this and I need this and I need this. And then when they're in high school, you need a whole different set of things. And so it's okay to come multiple times and see. And like you said, you're just going to see it from a different perspective. So,
yeah, I just got to remember that, as your children are growing and learning, we as parents are still growing and learning ourselves. That part never ends. And because we have these extra needs that we have to consider, we just have to sometimes take that time to benefit ourselves, to make ourselves feel more confident in our abilities to parent our children that have these extra needs.
So the April event in Frisco, I'd have to go back to the slides here and see what I can come up with. I think it looks like we have Sherman is going to be this Saturday at Sherman High School. Saxe, our Garland event is going to be on February 10th at Saxe High School. We'll be at Global High School in Waxahachie on March 23rd. And we'll be at the Frisco Career and Technical Education Center on April 13th. And every event is from 10 to 2. But the flyers are linked, and she did give you a link to the slides in the chat earlier on. So you should have access to that flyer.
And bring your kids. we're going to,
Yeah.
we're trying to expand and I think the main point is not to, give a full solution, but to start conversations and to start that, having conversations with teenagers is it's difficult as a parent, and I'm sure I remember being difficult as a teenager. So these are great conversation starters to talk about our future and talk about their futures and getting them thinking about it from their perspective. And that's the goal, is to start that conversation.
Thank you all so much. We're so glad that you could be here. This was great information. I hope this was beneficial to everyone. And again, if you do have further questions, please reach out to SpedTechs or to Partners Resource Network.